Alright, g'day, hi and welcome. Hopefully that's a really cool camera angle. Okay, I've just done something really cool and really fun. And what you're looking at here, obviously right in the center is my beloved SG3, circa 2006. To the right is the big brother of the Mark Holcomb guitars. This is the colossal 7 string. I think I bought that. Well, it's a year ago that I bought that. And then to the far left, there is the baby brother to the Mark Holcomb Series SE models, and that is the 6 string. And today's video is going to be about drop C tuning. Now, there's a couple of caveats I have to get out of the way first. The first one is obviously I didn't get a chance to change the strings. So you're hearing strings that are really old. On the Holcomb guitars, they're about a year old. On the SG3, I'm embarrassed to say how old they are because I don't know. They're over a year old for sure. And the strings I have to address this experiment is not very scientific, but what I'm getting at for this experiment is the scale length. So the SG right in the center has a 24.5-inch scale length. The Mark Holcomb to the left has the 6-string Mark Holcomb has a 25.5-inch scale length. And of course, the B-Store Mark Holcomb guitar on the right is a whopping 26.5 extended range baritone, right? So it's kind of like the 26.5 scale is the baby of the baritones. Get my sock foot out of there. But what you're looking at, okay, we're going to go through some recipes and stuff like that just so you get an idea of what you're listening to. So you got the two Mark Holcomb guitars are pretty much the same. They both have mahogany bodies with a maple cap. They both have alpha and omega pickups. They both have a maple fingerboard or a maple neck with a ebony fingerboard, and they both have the same type of bridge, etc., etc. And they also both have the PRS standard strings that you get, and they're 10 to 62 on the 7 string and 10 to 52 on the 6 string. Right now, the SG in the middle, the Gibson in the middle, has all mahogany body and neck, a rosewood fingerboard, 24.5-inch scale length, like I said, with two classic 57s and a 57 classic 57 plus in the bridge, which the classic 57 plus is a bit of a rarity. It's a little bit hotter, a little bit darker, whatever. And it has Gibson Bright Wine 10 to 46 on there. But all the guitars were tuned to drop C. I did not use the low B string on the 7 string for this. Basically, what I wanted to show you was the scale length difference, and I didn't really know where to tune the B string that low because I think I don't know what I'd have to do. None of the guitars were re-intonated for drop C except for the 6-string Mark Holcomb guitar comes standard tuned with a drop comes in drop C tuning, so it's intonated and optimized for that. So this was just a quick experiment, so it's not optimal. I did not re-intonate the SG or the 7 string, but for some reason it didn't seem to make that much of a difference in the intonation. Everything sounded good. So what I want you to listen for, I'll give you an example out of my BR1200, which is still flashing there. And basically it's the same drum beat. I was going to add a bass and put a full mix in it, but I'll wait till a later date when I get some drums and stuff like that, and I'll do a really good mix for you with the bass in there. Because what I really want you to hear is the difference in the baritone. Now, there's a bunch of things that stand out to me, and I know we're talking metal guitars here. So when you hear there's no, tone woods don't matter for metal or whatever, you're going to hear them in this mix. Not very different because it's basically 3 mahogany guitars, but you will hear the difference in the fretboards and how the sound cuts through. I will not tell you the order I recorded the guitars in, and really it is going to be variations of. And the idea here is going to kind of question whether you need an extended ranged baritone or not. Does it make that much different in the mix? Now, mind you, there's only drums and guitars here. we haven't muddied the waters with a bass and a keyboard and vocals and double tracked guitars and all that. So, what this experiment is about is really for you to hear the difference in the scale length. And is there a big difference to you? Is there not? So, I'm not going to tell you, it's exactly this or exactly that. But what I get out of it is pretty much what I suspected I would find, is that the SG would cut through the most, and it clearly did, but lost out on the low end. So the high end, you can clearly hear the SG right away. I'll tell you that much. The low end obviously goes to the Holcomb 7-string, but again, it's not really tight because the string tension is kind of a bit low right now, being detuned that much. So it doesn't have the liveliness of the 25.5-inch scale, which is optimized for the drop C tuning. This is why you re-intonate. Like, a lot of people will do drop tunings, and it won't sound great because it won't sound lively. I was actually surprised the SG, without re-intonating, it sounded as lively as it did. But that is the nature of an SG, is that it's okay. You look at this as the responsible older brother. This here is the middle brother who, he's a little bit wild, but over daring, whatever. This is the one that's going to break curfew, push little old ladies out of the way, and steal like candy from babies and stuff like that. That's what an SG is. It is a very hooligan guitar. Now, one caveat with the SG, hopefully if you hear a buzzing, I probably shouldn't say this right now because that'll give the guitar away, but this is one of my best recording guitars that I've ever had. It is still by far the best playing guitar I've ever played in my life. And considering the company it's keeping, I mean, we're talking this much, but so hopefully the buzz won't be too apparent. It needs to be regrounded. That's an 18-year-old guitar, or 2006 to 2024. What are we? Yeah, 18 years. So that's it's the oldest guitar I have right now, but it's a hell of a workhorse, and the playability is just. I've yet to do a truss rod adjustment on that guitar. It's the finest action of any guitar, but the thing is, it's also the easiest guitar to play because of the shorter scale length. So if you are looking to get into a drop tuning, I do believe going lower than drop C on a 24.5 scale might be. There's guys that are doing it, but you're probably going to have to go up to the heavier strings. So the 10 to 52s might be a better choice to go with if you're going to go with drop C or drop B tuning. But I think you can get Les Pauls and SGs into drop B tuning from what I'm seeing on the internet. It seems like you can get them there just fine. And then the Billy Gibbons effect kind of takes over. Why would you play a longer scale length if why work harder than you have to, right? So it really comes down to, do you really gain that much more from the baritone? And if the answer is yes, which for me, yeah, the baritone does that thing. You know what I mean? So is the compromise the 25.5 scale? There's things that I noticed by playing just like in the room, so to speak, is obviously the baritone, it's the down low, it's what you think it's going to be. But the liveliness of the 24.5-inch scale, again, what happens with the shorter scale length is you tend to get really snappy solos and really tight sounding guitar, but you lose out on the low end because you don't have that baritone. So think of it like a tenor, a soprano, and a baritone, right? That'd be the best way to. So they're all singing the exact same note, but you just get a different delivery of that note on the timbre and the low end. So that's what I get out of it. So you guys listen to the track. And the drum's just going to keep going, and one guitar will end, and then another guitar will begin, and then that guitar will end, and then the third guitar will play. And all you got to do is kind of figure out which guitar, just for a little, listen to the tracks and see if you can figure out which guitar was which. Hopefully I didn't give away too much, but if you didn't figure out which guitar was which. Listen to it a few times, and then I'll reveal at the end of the video which guitar was recorded which way. So go ahead, have a good listen, see what you like, see if it see if you could really hear something distinctive, or is it just variations of to you. Again, considering the age of the strings and the fact that it's not a pure apples to apples comparison, particularly with the SG, because the SG, although all three of them are fairly close, they all have 10 gauge strings. The SG has the lightest set of 10s on it, and the 7 string has the heaviest set of on it. And of course, the 7 string and the 6 string both have PRS strings on it. The factory strings. Yes, they are old, so I apologize for that. When I get new strings on, I'll probably conduct this test again a little bit more thoroughly, and I'll probably even do it in different tunings. But one thing I've already noticed about the 7 string is the 10 to 62s going to drop C, which would put the B string. Where does that put the B string? It seems like the B string couldn't go any lower. It's like it needs to be a little bit heavier to go. The rest of the strings were fine, but the B string seems to need to be heavier to get it down there, because it's just not enough tension. It just sounds like it's like my 8 string. It sounds flubby. So, but anyway, like it sounds good, but it doesn't have the tightness in the live list. But mind you, I didn't re-intonate, so I don't know. I'd have to play around with the intonation on the 7 string if I wanted to keep it in that low tuning, because 2023 was basically me using that guitar in drop C, pretty much experimenting with a little bit of other drop tunings, like my So Good tuning. If you didn't see that video, that tuning is just absolutely brilliant. This guitar has been in every tuning known to man over the years. I've again had it 18 years. This is pretty much with maybe 1 or 2 days where I actually played around with some semi-drop tunings on the B string, but pretty much has been in standard tuning the whole time. But that's going to change in 2024. This thing is going to go into outrageous tunings, and we're going to see what we can really do with a 7 string. And there's a reason why you buy them, because it is a universal sound there. So anyway, if you want to make your guess of which guitar was which, make your guess now, and in about 3 seconds I will reveal to you which guitar was recorded first. And keep in mind, every guitar was just basically, I pulled the plug out, this plug here, pulled it out of that one, put it into the next one, put it out of that one, put it in the next one, pull it out of that one, put it in the next one, whatever order I did them in. So there was no changes in the settings on the BR1200, which is, still I got to do the burn the CD and everything. So there was no changes there. And the other thing was that I did use stereo course double, like with 2 tracks. The guitars are not double tracked. It's just a single guitar and the drum beat. But the guitars are in stereo and with stereo course on it, just to kind of liven up the sound a bit. The stereo course actually muddies up the sound, so the next time I do this test, I might just do like a dry guitar with distortion, but I'll just do dry, and you'll even hear more variation between the guitars. But the stereo course kind of fills in the guitars, and it makes it a bit of a challenge for you to pick out which guitar is which. But that's the whole point. If it's that much of a challenge to pick out, then it'll make you question, do you need the longer scale length or not? What are you getting? What are you not getting? So anyway, to reveal it. So Tell you, so hopefully you made your choice. If you guessed the 7 string for the first guitar, you guessed wrong because it was the SG. If you guessed the 7 string for the second guitar, you guessed correctly. So I don't need to tell you which the third guitar was. Now, at the very end, I did a couple of little crazy things with that pig squeal. I'm just messing around with the Mark Holcomb guitars. But all 3 of these guitars are incredible and whatever. But if you have to work really hard, if you're more of a guy that does a lot of solos rather than, or 50-50 solos versus rhythm and stuff like that, you might like that shorter scale because it just makes life so much easier for you. That said, if you still really want that extra low end, but the baritone is just a little bit too tough for you to play. The 25.5 is a great compromise between the two. So this was just the rhythm test. When I get into the guitar soloing test, I'll probably put all the guitar, well, I'll keep them in drop C because that one's intonated for drop C. And I'll do some guitar solos and you'll see how the SG kind of cuts out through. It just cuts through everything. It's a Ginsu knife. Like it just, when you do guitar solos on Les Pauls and SGs, that's why a lot of guys like them. I like the SGs because they play a little bit easier, better than the Les Pauls, for fret access and stuff like that. So if you throw modern pickups in an SG, you can get a pretty bitchin' modern sounding guitar. But that said, when you're playing clean and you're playing versus dirty, versus solos, whatever, there's always a compromise somewhere. So like I say, the SGs typically in standard tuning will sound tighter because of that shorter scale length, where the other guitars will be a little bit more vibrant, whatever. So when you're playing chords, sometimes you want really tight chords, you want that shorter scale length, but sometimes you want really melodic chords, and that's where the longer scale lengths give you just a little bit more whatever. So but anyway, you guys tell me what you thought of the guitars. Did you guess them right? So 1, 2, and 3. And what's your opinion on it? And I figured this would be an interesting video anyway. So it's a lot of talking for so little listening, but is what it is. So yeah, I like these discussions, and yeah, there we go. That's drop C tuning. I don't know what tuning I'll do next, but I'm gonna wait till I get, like I say, all new strings on there, and I'll probably put all the same brand of strings, so you get as close to an apples to apples comparison. And I might do a slightly drier recording just so you can hear that in the like in the mix, the difference in the guitars. But then that also gives you the other question: if it's that hard to pick out in the mix, does the guitar matter, right? So anyway, we'll see. So I have my opinions on it and whatever, but there you go. So anyway, have yourselves a great day.